In a world ruled by swords and sorcery, Ragnar Brave, RMC, is buried under a mountain of paperwork. Ink flies as he scribbles furiously, his face twisted in frustration. This isn't the heroic life he imagined. Instead of swinging a sword, he's stuck managing endless administrative tasks. Just then, his loyal retainer Seabass steps into the room. Calm and composed as always, Seabass reminds Ragnar that most of the people who used to manage the estate were wiped out in battle. Now it's up to Ragnar. Desperate, Ragnar looks up and pleads for help, but Seabass doesn't budge. With a firm tone, he tells Ragnar that as the new lord, this is part of his duty now. The Brave territory is no peaceful place. It's a brutal frontier crawling with monsters and constant skirmishes. It's so dangerous, other nobles call it the dumping ground, where unwanted soldiers and hopeless causes go to disappear. Ragnar thinks back to his father and brothers, all of them fierce warriors who thrived in battle. Compared to them, he can't help but wonder, how did anyone in his family ever manage to deal with paperwork? Because of his family's warrior bloodline, Ragnar was thrown into battle training as early as age 3, facing off against brutal orcs before most kids could even write their names. But just a few months ago, everything changed. His entire family was wiped out in battle. Now, as the only one left alive, he's suddenly forced to inherit the entire frontier territory. A heavy burden for someone who never wanted this life. Ragnar sighs, frustrated. He was just the third son, the one who dreamed of roaming the world as a free adventurer, not being chained to a desk, weighed down by duty and legacy. Seabass looks straight at Ragnar and reminds him, he can't just run from his responsibilities. There's more at stake now. As the new lord, Ragnar has another duty to fulfill. Their territory is packed with valuable resources and monster materials, making it a magnet for adventurers and a hotspot for business. But it's not that simple. Any attempt to develop the mountains ends in disaster. Monster raids are swift and deadly, and if they try to expand the fields, they risk drawing the attention of enemy soldiers. Either way, they're stuck with limited self-sufficiency. With his territory completely dependent on the support of other nobles, Ragnar has no choice. He must attend the academy in the royal capital as the heir of the Brave territory. His mission, to win over the children of powerful nobles and earn their favor, all to secure backing for his struggling land. But deep down, Ragnar isn't so sure he can pull it off. Politics and social games? That's not his battlefield. He even considers refusing to enroll altogether. But Seabass shuts that idea down instantly. With a firm voice, he tells Ragnar this isn't optional. Irritated by the interruption, Ragnar looks up and asks, "What is it now?" Seabass steps in calmly, his tone serious. He addresses him with full formality, "Young Master Ragnar." That alone is enough to make Ragnar pause. This isn't just some routine update. With a straight face, Seabass delivers the news. Ragnar has received a marriage proposal. Ragnar raises an eyebrow at the sudden marriage proposal. Out of nowhere? He asks, clearly suspicious. But Seabass remains calm and explains, it's actually pretty normal for someone in his position. Lords often get proposals like this. That sparks a memory. Ragnar recalls how his older brothers were once engaged too. But unlike him, their fiancés wanted nothing to do with the region. They hated the place and flat out refused to live there. His mood darkens. They didn't just abandon the region, they didn't even show up to the funeral. Seabass confirms it. When he told them the news, they didn't mourn. They looked relieved. Fury flashes in Ragnar's eyes. He crushes his quill in his hand, gripping it so hard it snaps. His thoughts spiral into something dark, murder-level dark. "Please don't," Seabass begs, sensing exactly where this is going. Still simmering with rage, Ragnar shifts his focus to the marriage proposal. Slowly, he turns to Seabass and gives him a sharp, knowing look. Ragnar stands up and declares, "I'll be staying in the dorms at the royal capital. I'll only come back during long vacations to handle territory affairs." He quickly adds that he'll be way too busy to even think about marriage, and tells Seabass to go ahead and reject the proposal. But Seabass doesn't budge. With a calm yet firm voice, the butler simply replies, "That's not possible." Seabass calmly explains that the marriage proposal comes from none other than the Duchy of Oldwood, their most important supplier. That revelation stops Ragnar in his tracks. "Wait, remind me of his title again?" "He's an earl," Seabass replies. Ragnar groans and throws his hands up. "Yeah, but the part they always mention is of the undesirable frontier region." The moment Ragnar hears the name Oldwood, something inside him shifts. Suddenly, he remembers he's been in this world before. It all started after that brutal orc attack long ago. That's when memories of his past life came flooding back. But now he's left wondering, how could he have forgotten something so important until just now? And then, it all clicks. That's right, Ragna is a reincarnator. In his past life, he lived in a country called Japan. He can't remember his old name, but one thing is crystal clear. This world is from a game he used to play. He's been reincarnated into the setting of an otome game, where a commoner heroine enrolls in an elite aristocratic school. But then, Ragna remembers the game's dark twist. By the end of the story, the royal capital turns into a full-blown battlefield. And the worst part? He remembers her. The one character who constantly got in his way when he played the game. Alicia, a refined and gifted noblewoman, daughter of the powerful Oldwood family. Beautiful, brilliant, and utterly ruthless. She was betrothed to the prince, and in the game she played the perfect villainess. But behind her polished image, Alicia's personality was awful. She looked down on anyone she considered beneath her, especially commoners. Arrogant and elitist, she led her entourage in tormenting the protagonist every single day, constantly putting her in her place with sneers and insults. And yet, in spite of the relentless harassment, the protagonist only grew closer to the prince. Eventually, it all came to a head. A duel was declared, with none other than the prince as the prize. Alicia lost. Badly. It was a humiliating defeat, and her engagement was immediately annulled, cast aside in disgrace. Ragna tries to piece together what happened next. If he remembers correctly, Alicia was forced to take responsibility for the scandal by being married off to some noble family way out on the frontier. Then it hits him. Ragna has a horrifying realization. The noble family Alicia was married into was his own. He collapses onto his bed in utter despair. Just the thought of living under the same roof with a woman like her feels like a nightmare. He pictures a hellish future where she mocks and insults him every single day. As if things weren't already bad enough, Ragna suddenly remembers he's going to the academy too, which means he'll be stuck with Alicia there as well. He sinks deeper into despair, feeling like his life is officially over. That's when Seabass enters the room and calmly delivers more bad news. She'll be arriving soon, young master. Ragna glares at him. What's the point of bringing a woman groomed to be the crown prince's bride into this house? Seabass calmly suggests the real reason Alicia is being sent here. It's to quietly dispose of her and make an example. Then, with a disturbingly cheerful tone, he adds, after all, the Brave territory is famous for its high mortality rate. Ragna clenches his teeth in annoyance. But Seabass presses on. He reminds Ragna that every single survivor of the war is still fighting to keep the Brave house alive. And now it's Ragna's turn to do the same. With a long sigh, Ragna finally gives in. Fine. A lone carriage rolls steadily toward the estate, kicking up dust in its wake. Ragna and Seabass stand at the entrance, silently waiting. The coachman glances back and announces their arrival to his lady. The carriage door opens. A woman steps out. It's Alicia. Her face gives nothing away, calm, unreadable, as her eyes fix straight ahead. Just as Seabass begins his formal greeting, Ragna suddenly whacks him, cutting him off mid-sentence. Alicia watches the scene with a cold smile. Your reaction to my face. Just as I expected. Caught off guard, Ragna blurts out, how did you get that burn? Then quickly backtracks. I mean, you don't have to answer, if you don't want to. Ragna gives a slight smile and says, an injury like that? Pretty normal in the Brave territory. His calm, almost casual kindness catches Alicia completely off guard. She stares at him, stunned. Is it really normal? She asks, unsure. Ragna nods. Totally. Around here, both soldiers and adventurers are always walking around covered in wounds. Ragna, thinking to himself, figures the burn must have come from that duel. He coldly notes that her ruined face, one that would make most people turn away, is almost too fitting for someone living in disgrace. Just then, a servant steps forward and addresses her. Lady Alicia. Ragna glances over. The servant announces her departure, and then leaves, alone. That's when it hits Ragna. She's completely by herself. Why would a duke's daughter arrive without even a single maid? The small carriage that brought her quietly rolls away, disappearing down the road. A heavy silence lingers between Ragna and Alicia. No escort, no entourage, just one carriage, a single bag, and not even a servant in sight. It's all Ragna needs to understand the reality of her situation. Her expression, blank, hollow, as if she's already given up on everything. Reminds him of something he's seen before. A defeated soldier dragged in from the battlefield. Seabass gestures politely for Lady Alicia to follow him inside. Meanwhile, Ragna watches her closely, thoughts racing. This isn't what I expected at all, he thinks. He was sure she'd show up acting all proud and entitled. Trying to shake off the surprise, Ragna offers, "Want me to show you to your room?" But Alicia gently raises a hand, stopping him. "Please, just give me a moment." With a quick, almost instinctive motion, Ragna swats something near Alicia's shoulder, crushing whatever it was. She blinks, startled. "Was there dust on me? I'm sorry. These clothes are old." Ragna shrugs it off with a small smile. "Don't worry about it. Mine are way dustier than yours anyway." Alicia looks at him, clearly confused by his unexpected kindness. Ragna calmly explains, "Demon bugs are creatures born from grudges. They turn into curses and latch onto people to make sure they can't live a happy life." He remembers it clearly. When he first saw Alicia, there were nearly 100 of them clinging to her. Each one a symbol of the hatred and hostility aimed her way. With a sigh, he adds, "You must have made quite a few enemies." Ragna thinks to himself, any normal person would have gone completely insane with that many demon bugs clinging to them. And yet, Alicia remains calm. It's unsettling. He decides to look at the whole thing from another angle. Alicia was trained to be a queen, groomed for royalty. So why would someone like her willingly pick a duel with a commoner? Something doesn't add up. Ragna reflects on it all. In this game world, a villain is needed. Someone to stir the pot and keep the drama alive. And Alicia's role? It was probably twisted just to serve that purpose. A world shaped not by truth, but by narrative convenience. He sighs inwardly, realizing something else. In a way, they're both victims, just two people being tossed around by the hands of fate. As for Alicia's story, Ragna already knows how it ends. After her engagement was broken off, her hatred consumed her, turning her into a monster. She went on a rampage, and that rampage, it wiped out the entire Brave territory. Which means only one thing: she kills him and his land is doomed. No matter how he looks at it, Ragna can't shake the feeling. Both he and Alicia are just pieces being moved around by fate. And if things keep going the way they are, his territory is finished. But then something clicks. What if he could change the outcome? What if he helped her take her life back and rewrite her fate? Ragna makes up his mind. If they're doomed no matter what, then he might as well face it with a positive attitude. And if something awful happens while they're together, so be it. A demon bug slithers toward Alicia's feet. Without hesitation, Ragna crushes it beneath his heel. "I'll just kill whatever's responsible." Ragna turns to a stunned Alicia and says it straight, "I've decided. I'm gonna fight against this world." Then, flashing a light-hearted grin, he adds, "Don't worry about it." He stretches, full of confidence, and says with quiet resolve, "I'll give it everything I've got." Alicia is caught off guard. That carefree smile. When was the last time someone looked at her like that? Something stirs quietly in the heart of the so-called villainous girl. As she watches Ragna walk away, she can't help but think, what a strange person. It's been 5 days since Alicia arrived at the Brave household. She hasn't left her room or spoken to anyone. Meanwhile, Ragna has been completely tied up with something else. A much more annoying problem. He's been busy hunting down demon bugs, pests that can be launched across distances using magic. They're relentless. Frustrated, Ragna vents to Seabass, grumbling about the sheer number of them and demanding some backup. Ragna thinks about tracking down the source of the demon bugs to end this once and for all. But Seabass quickly shuts that down. Any large-scale disruption could lead to the Brave house being dissolved entirely. Instead, Seabass points to a more urgent issue. They need to do something about Lady Alicia's heart. It's her emotional state that's attracting the bugs. Ragna stares at him in disbelief. That sounds insane. He sighs, complaining that the Brave family only knows how to fight. He has zero experience dealing with girls his age, let alone their emotions. But Seabass, calm as ever, simply replies, "You'll be fine, young master." Suddenly, Ragna gets an idea. Without wasting time, he heads straight to Alicia's room and knocks on the door, calling out that breakfast is ready. He remembers the social tea parties back at the academy and decides to borrow that concept. Maybe sharing a meal could help build some kind of connection between them. But when his polite knock gets no reply, He ditches the subtle approach. Ragna starts pounding on the door, shouting for her to wake up and join him for breakfast. Determined to break through her wall of silence one way or another. Already awake, Alicia shouts back, telling him to just come in before he breaks the door down. Ragna sighs as he opens it, thinking to himself, it's just one thing after another. They sit down to eat. Alicia looks a bit uneasy, but before she can say much, Ragna waves it off casually, saying he's used to fixing broken stuff anyway. Don't worry about it, he says with a small grin. Just enjoy your breakfast. And the coffee too. She quietly takes a sip and immediately starts coughing. The coffee's way too bitter. Embarrassed, Alicia apologizes, explaining that it's her first time drinking coffee. Back home, she always had tea. Ragna looks surprised, then scratches his head a bit awkwardly. Yeah, tea's kinda expensive around here, he admits. Try adding some sugar. Might help. With a bit of sugar stirred in, Alicia takes another sip. This time, it's sweet enough. She nods to herself, thinking, okay, I can drink this now. Ragna chuckles, casually warning her. Careful not to drink that before bed. You'll be staring at the ceiling all night. As they continue eating, the contrast between them is clear. Ragna crunches through his food without a care, loud and carefree, while Alicia nibbles with delicate precision, like a proper noblewoman. Alicia watches him curiously and finally asks, what is that you're eating? Ragna glances at his plate and casually replies, this? Oh, it's nothing. Just something local. But Alicia recoils, her eyes wide. Wait, isn't that poisonous? Ragna laughs it off. Nah, if you start eating it as a kid, you get used to it. Though yeah, the taste sucks. She glances around the dining hall, noticing something else. You're the one who's been fixing everything around here too, right? Ragna nods, still chewing. Yeah. Why? Alicia tilts her head, genuinely puzzled. Why go out of your way to do all that yourself? Ragna shrugs and answers simply, we're just short on hands. That's all. He sets down his fork and leans back. If something needs to be done, even the servants have to fight. Alicia looks stunned. He continues, voice calm but heavy. Most of them didn't make it back. They died in battle recently. The room goes quiet. Alicia is left speechless, the weight of his words sinking in. Ragna adds with a faint smile, that's just how the brave family works. If you lose but live, it's not really a loss. Ragna speaks calmly. What we value most is surviving. No matter how many times we're knocked down, we get back up. He slowly reaches out, gently touching the area near Alicia's scar. His gaze is steady, earnest. Lady Alicia, he says softly, you're truly an incredible person. Then, with quiet conviction, he adds, in this household, we don't hide our scars. We wear them with pride. If anything, Ragna says with a calm smile, we're proud of them. He rolls up his sleeve, revealing several scars of his own, proof of the life he's lived. Alicia flinches slightly, thinking he's a bit too close. Noticing her unease, Ragna casually explains, sorry, I'm used to checking soldiers for wounds. Force of habit. He steps back and gestures toward the door. Anyway, how about a walk? As they head outside, he adds with a small grin. The territory's a mess, sure, but the land itself, its nature, is wild, rich, and beautiful. Standing amidst the beauty of the land, Ragna says, when you face nature, human conflicts seem so insignificant. Alicia nods quietly, feeling the weight of those words, how small they all really are. After a brief pause, she finally agrees, all right, show me around the land. Ragna's face lights up with genuine delight at her acceptance. Alicia, clearly exhausted, mutters, I agreed to go, but no one said we'd be hiking this deep into the mountains. Ragna smiles and explains, we're in the Udana mountain range. It's a huge range near the Brave territory, full of rare plants and minerals you won't find anywhere in the capital. Alicia admits, I thought we'd just be checking out some local shops in town. Ragna shakes his head and explains, this isn't a tourist town. It's a rough settlement where adventurers come to hunt monsters. He adds, the only entertainment here is gambling. Ragna mentions, I even heard once that someone bet on my father dying in battle, but Seabass handled those troublemakers. He quickly apologizes, realizing, that's probably not a story to tell a lady. Alicia, however, calmly replies, it's fine. This kind of thing is normal around here. Ragna can't help but note, yeah, it's just like the coffee. Ragna watches Alicia and thinks to himself that even in this unfamiliar land, she's doing her best to adapt. He suggests, let's take a short break. By a nearby stream, Alicia cups some water in her hands and takes a drink. She sighs in relief and says, this is delicious. Ragna explains, the Udana mountain range is high up, and with the low evaporation here, the natural water stays pure and fresh. Ragna tells Alicia, this land might be tough at its core, but the more you learn about it, the easier it becomes to live with. Alicia nods in agreement. That's true. You have to understand your surroundings. She reflects, enemies and allies share the same earth. You can't underestimate anyone. You have to know them deeply and always be prepared. Ragna recognizes Alicia's words as the brave family's teaching and mentions, I've heard a similar saying in a distant world. Alicia thinks aloud, here, everyone makes their own choices based on what they understand, and they all fight to protect what matters to them. Seeing the faces of the people here, Alicia realizes this place isn't what the rumors made it out to be. She reflects on how the citizens of the brave territory rarely laugh, a choice born from deep thought and hardship. But Ragna tells her with a slight smile, it's okay to laugh here. After all, this is a place where people gamble with life and death for entertainment. Ragna tells Alicia to shake off her worries and keep moving. Their destination is just up ahead, but Alicia calls out, asking him to wait. She points out the contradiction in what he just said. He grins and tells her not to laugh, then suddenly tells her to laugh anyway. As they walk hand in hand, Alicia can't help but say, you're a really strange person. Alicia stands frozen, eyes wide with awe. Her face mixes shock and wonder. Before them stretches a breathtaking panoramic view from the mountaintop, glowing under the warm sunlight. She can only whisper, wow. Ragna shares that this spot is his favorite place. Though the view might seem ordinary to some, he genuinely loves it. He then suggests they have a snack, guessing she must be hungry by now. But Alicia stops him. There's something she wants to ask first. She tells Ragna it's okay to call her without any honorifics. He agrees, admitting he's not used to formal language either. Alicia points out that in their territory, these formalities are a small deal, right? After a brief pause, Ragna nods in agreement. At last, she calls him simply Ragna. After a long moment of worry, Alicia gathers her courage and asks a serious question. What would you do if it becomes unavoidable, and you end up regretting it? She wonders aloud whether time would really heal those regrets, or if that's just a comforting way to say it. Ragna replies, drawing from his battle experience. If you choose one side, you have to accept losing the other. Once something's lost, there's nothing you can do about it. Alicia presses further, her voice tense. But what if there's nothing left at all? What would you do then? Alicia admits that she's lived her entire life for just one purpose. If she loses that, there's nothing left for her. She breaks down, crying out that as a duchess, she feels like she's already dead. That's why she came to this forsaken land. Then, she quickly apologizes, saying her words were improper. Ragna wrestles with his thoughts, wondering if it's even possible to cut ties with these feelings, all while cursing the demon bugs inside her. Then, Seabass's past advice rings in his mind, to face things honestly, just as they are, and everything will be all right. With renewed determination, he calls out Alicia's name. Looking straight into Alicia's eyes, Ragna makes a heartfelt vow. I'll protect you from now on, always. His sudden promise leaves Alicia completely stunned and speechless. He goes on, saying that even if the Alicia of the duchy is gone, she is now Alicia of the Brave family, and no matter what, he will protect her. He admits he practiced that dramatic line beforehand, which makes Alicia laugh and call him ridiculous. She thinks all that rehearsal was a bit over the top. Still, a small smile appears on her lips. Alicia admits that, even if he overthought it, she doesn't dislike his approach. She finds it simple, honest, and easy to understand. Her words make Ragna blush. They seal a pinky promise. Alicia asks if he'll still protect her, even if she returns to the academy with him, a place where she could face malice and hostility. Ragna confidently assures her, saying he's more than capable of handling that kind of trouble. Feeling satisfied, Ragna calls out to Onyx, asking if he saw that. Suddenly, a massive black dragon appears before them. Its deep voice rumbles, I have witnessed that vow, Ragna Brave. Ragna proudly introduces the dragon as his friend, Onyx. The shock of this revelation overwhelms Alicia, and she immediately faints. Ragna rushes to her side, calling her name with concern. Their first date ends with a dramatic twist, signaling many challenges still to come. After their date, it's clear that Ragna and Alicia have grown closer. Alicia calls out Ragna about the messy state of his room and the wild events from the day before. She presses him about the dragon, and he explains that he thought making their vow in front of one would be romantic. Calmly, Ragna tells her that Onyx is a dragon who lives in the nearby mountain range. Alicia is stunned by how calm Ragna stays, especially after the dragon's blessing made the demon bugs vanish. Seabass explains that Ragna earned the dragon's respect by fighting it to a draw, though Ragna admits he almost didn't make it. Flustered, Ragna reassures Alicia it's okay since they managed to negotiate in the end. A maid comforts Lady Alicia, telling her it's completely normal to be surprised. One of the servants adds that everyone felt the same way when they first arrived, but over time you get used to it. Alicia watches quietly as everyone works together on the paperwork. Then, she reaches out and asks him to hand her the documents. Ragna sighs, knowing the mountain of paperwork will take a long time to sort through. After a brief pause, he agrees and asks Seabass to fetch the past documents. As soon as he starts reviewing them, Ragna spots some strange irregularities in the money flow coming from one particular shop. With sharp focus, Alicia dives into the mountain of paperwork. Everyone watches in awe as she moves through it with impressive speed and precision, relieved that most of it should be sorted out soon. Seabass nods in agreement, calling her truly talented, while Ragna reflects on how basic education seems to be lacking these days. The servants praise Alicia for her incredible skill and efficiency. Ragna watches her gentle smile and thinks that, without the shadow of the demon bugs, she's just like any other normal girl. Then Alicia turns to Ragna and declares that she wants to take on the mansion's cleaning next. The servants are completely stunned by her offer. One of the maids quickly objects, saying there's no way they can let Lady Alicia take on so much work. But Alicia stays calm and insists. She wants to experience things she's never done before, as a human servant of the brave family. The servants rush to stop her, begging her to hold back. Moved by her determination, Seabass praises her as a good child and urges Ragna to give his best too. Seabass then admits he purposely saved this part of the work for his young master, something Ragna teasingly calls a demon move. Ragna tracks down the source of the financial discrepancy, a weapon shop charging unusually high prices. He notices the shop, run by people from the royal capital, opened the very day Alicia arrived. Ragna points out that their business approach probably won't succeed here, where weapons are treated as consumable goods. Seabass suspects their real motive is to keep a close watch on Alicia and asks his young master what he plans to do. Determined, Ragna decides he'll handle it himself that very night. As he sets out, Seabass warns him to be careful. There are skilled people at that weapon shop. Ragna nods, confirming he heard the same from an adventurer. The adventurer recounts how he got fed up with the arrogant attitude of the weapon shop and tried to steal something valuable. But before he even realized what happened, his right arm was already gone. Still shaken, he admits he couldn't even see the sword move. Ragna listens closely, realizing the terrifying truth. These people didn't just overpower the rugged adventurers of this land. They severed a man's arm without even visibly drawing their blade. The world is filled with magic essence, and those capable of controlling it are known as sorcerers. Throughout history, sorcerers have often suffered the heaviest losses in wars, especially when clashing with enemy magic users. After piecing everything together, Ragna comes to a chilling conclusion. Their true target is Alicia, and whoever's behind this seems determined to wipe her out completely. With a thunderous kick, Ragna smashes through the weapon shop's door, sending shockwaves through the room. The startled men inside leap to their feet, demanding to know who he is. But one of them freezes, eyes widening in recognition. It's Ragna Brave. Calm and collected, Ragna steps forward and says coldly, "You're the ones who made the first move." Ragna gives them a chance, his voice calm but firm. He asks why they're sniffing around his territory, promising he won't go too hard on them if they come clean. But instead of answering, the men smirk and draw their weapons. One of them mocks him for daring to be armed in front of a lord. That smug reaction is all Ragna needs to confirm his suspicions. The thugs scoff at Ragna, pretending innocence. They smugly claim they never laid a hand on anyone and figure that if they just silence him now, it won't matter. One of them sneers, calling him a naive third son for showing up alone. But as they lunge in for the kill, Ragnar doesn't even flinch. He blocks the incoming strike with his bare arm, no armor, no weapon, and the attacker's sword shatters on impact. With one crushing punch, Ragnar sends the attacker flying across the room. The rest of the thugs collapse in a heap, completely overwhelmed. Just then, a hooded figure steps out from the shadows, calmly commenting on Ragnar's impressive strength, especially for a 15-year-old. Ragnar narrows his eyes, immediately recognizing the man as the leader. It's the magician. The hooded figure raises his head slightly and, without hostility, asks if he may pose a single question. The magician looks at Ragnar and casually asks, "So, how is Miss Alicia doing?" He chuckles darkly, clearly enjoying the idea that the once proud prodigy, Alicia, has been twisted by his own handiwork. Ragnar's expression turns cold. His hand tightens around the hilt of his sword, the weight of everything clicking into place. With a low, firm voice, he declares, "It's you, you're the one behind all of this." Fueled by rage, Ragnar charges at the magician. He shouts, accusing him of unleashing waves of demon bugs on them day after day. In one swift motion, Ragnar slams him against the wall, eyes burning with fury. The magician only laughs, but Ragnar leans in, voice low and firm. "Then let me show you what the Alicia of now is really made of." Ragnar glares at the magician and declares, "Your little scheme? It's already failed." His voice sharpens with conviction. Alicia is now surrounded by people who care about her. She's thriving in her work, and most of all, she's smiling, living freely. Without giving him a chance to respond, Ragnar launches a devastating blow, the praying mantis strike. The impact hits hard. The magician staggers back, stunned, muttering in disbelief. "No, Lady Alicia," happy, as if the very idea shatters the twisted narrative he clung to. The magician lets out a crazed scream. "I poured my feelings into her every single day, a constant curse, to make her hate everything and everyone around her." But Ragnar doesn't flinch. His eyes burn with fury as he snaps back. "And I'm not letting you walk away after that." He charges in for another strike, blade slicing through the air with force. But the magician just laughs maniacally, untouched. "Why can't your sword cut me?" he mocks. "It's useless. No matter what you try, none of it will work on me." Ragnar slams the hilt of his sword into the magician, saying, "This first hit is for the adventurer's lost arm." Then, without hesitation, he strikes again. "And this one's for all the demon bugs you've sent." With the magician pinned down, Ragnar leans in and offers a warning. "Tell me who's behind all this, and I might just spare your life." The magician finally spills the truth. The Duke's family, Ignite, is behind all of this. Ragnar nods, thanking him for the information. Then, without hesitation, he delivers one last strike, for all the pain the magician brought to Alicia. As Ragnar walks away, the defeated magician can only curse him over and over. As the magician's curses fade into silence, Ragnar smirks and says, "You're already cursed." Just then, Seabass steps in at the doorway, asking if it's all done. Ragnar tells him to take care of the cleanup, and Seabass nods without hesitation. Ragnar turns to Seabass with a question. "Is there a way to keep Alicia close when they go to the academy?" Seabass immediately jumps to the wrong conclusion, thinking Ragnar means living together and starting a family. Ragnar quickly and flusteredly denies it. Ragnar clears things up, saying he just wants to stay close enough to protect Alicia if anything happens. He tells Seabass he's counting on him. As he thinks back on his actions, Ragnar wonders if this is the first time he's gone this far since avenging his father, and he can't help but feel like his heart has stopped feeling anything. As he heads home, Ragnar starts to worry if he'll really fit in at the academy. Meanwhile, Alicia sits at her desk, reviewing a report she's put together, wondering if she's gathered enough information. She makes a mental note to share everything she's learned about the academy with Ragnar. As the night grows darker, both of them quietly hold feelings for each other deep in their hearts. A few months later, the day before they leave for the royal capital finally arrives. Alicia's shift from focusing on higher education to mastering household chores has turned her into a truly skilled woman. Seeing her growth and knowing she's about to leave, the maid River is overwhelmed with emotion, calling out Alicia's name in tears. As Ragnar and Alicia get ready to leave, River clings to Alicia dramatically, begging her not to go. The other servants notice the difference in how they're treated, quietly saying it's okay for Lady Alicia to stay behind while the young master heads off to the academy. Alicia gently reassures River, promising that the vegetables they grow at the academy will be sent back for everyone at the mansion to enjoy. One of the maids hands Ragna a collar, catching Alicia's curiosity about what it is. The maid explains that it's something Ragna used to wear as a child and suggests Alicia use it to scold him if he misbehaves. As their carriage pulls away, the staff call out their goodbyes, reminding Ragna to eat his vegetables and stay warm to avoid catching a cold. As they travel, Alicia watches Ragna with a smile, admitting she's a little jealous of how much everyone loves him. Ragna, in turn, reflects that this is the first time in his life he's ever left his own territory. He fondly remembers the warm farewells from everyone back at the mansion. As the carriage rolls steadily along, Ragna quietly announces that it's time to leave. They journey across the vast land, heading toward the distant royal capital. As they get closer, Seabass speaks up, announcing that the royal capital has finally come into view. Alicia, blushing and looking down shyly, nervously asks Ragna for a small favor. Her request is simple. She wants him to show her how to buy a ticket when they get to the train station. She also asks if he can teach her how to ride the train. Ragna, feeling flustered, tells Alicia not to laugh at him. But Alicia just giggles, promising she'll take care of everything since it's his first time out. She playfully teases him, warning that the royal capital will be packed, and jokes about putting a collar on him so he doesn't get lost. Ragna quickly declines the idea. Standing before the grand entrance to the city, Ragna is filled with awe. They've arrived at the royal capital, Ether, a sprawling metropolis with over 1 million citizens, safeguarded by a powerful barrier created by an ancient sage. Ragna notes that with so few monsters and no wars, it's no surprise so many people are drawn to this place. Alicia, however, finds it cramped and overwhelming compared to their quiet home. Ragna asks if the dormitory is located within the school grounds, and Alicia confirms that there are separate dorms for boys and girls, a fact he's eager about. Their train journey goes on until they finally reach their destination. They step off at a rundown, worn-down building, and Ragna quickly realizes this is where they'll be living, the dormitory. He's shocked by the poor condition of the dorm and even more surprised that boys and girls will be living together. He also notices how far it is from the main school campus. Just then, Alicia finds a letter from Seabass in the mailbox. In the letter, Seabass explains that their living arrangement is a deliberate strategy to calm the nobles who are against her return. Ragna looks on the bright side, pointing out that since no one else is around, the place is actually pretty convenient, though it will definitely need some cleaning. He even thinks about growing vegetables in the courtyard. Then, he's shocked to find condoms left in his room by Seabass. The letter explains that Seabass's main goal was to make sure they live together. The letter ends with a clear and crucial instruction. Ragna must pass the exam to join the same upper class as Lady Alicia. Ragna feels the weight of the challenge, worried about how tough the exam will be. Ether Nam Academy, where nearly all the noble children from across the kingdom come together, sorts its students by rank. The upper class is reserved for those who have a chance to marry into royalty, while everyone else gets placed in the lower class. There's an exception for commoners with exceptional magic or knowledge. They can enroll as descendants of sages. Ragna finds the system a bit unclear but can already imagine the kind of school life that awaits them. Though they're just nobles from a remote land and labeled as so-called villains, Ragna's determination is firm. He declares that if the exam is a test of skill, he'll prove they can come out on top. But as soon as he arrives at the academy, he's immediately scolded for being late. The teacher scoffs, clearly annoyed that a noble from a remote land has kept an upper-class instructor waiting. Ragna apologizes, admitting he got lost. The teacher dismisses the excuse, calling him a slowpoke. Without missing a beat, he orders Ragna to start the basic magic test by unleashing his maximum output at the target pillar. Ragna asks if there are any specific requirements for the magic test, but the teacher, clearly impatient, snaps at him to just hurry up and get it done. With a sigh of frustration, the teacher mutters about his bad luck for having to be the examiner. Meanwhile, Ragna steels himself and gets ready to cast his spell. The teacher can only manage a stunned "ha" as the spell's force crashes through. The blast not only destroys the target but tears a huge hole in the wall behind it. He stares in disbelief at the gaping wreckage, his eyes locked on the shattered remains of the target, completely baffled. The teacher, still stunned, wonders what just happened and who this boy could possibly be. Ragna calmly asks if he passed the test. The teacher, regaining his composure, replies that there are more tests to come. While admitting that Ragna shows some real skill in magic, he firmly declares that, unfortunately, Ragna will never pass this test. The teacher hands Ragna a wooden sword for the next test. He lays out the simple rules. If Ragna can defeat him, he passes. But there's a crucial catch: the use of magic is strictly forbidden. If Ragna can't keep fighting, he fails. Ragna nods, ready to get this over with fast. Fueled by anger at Ragna's confidence, the teacher lunges forward, sneering and calling him a barbarian. But with lightning speed and strength, Ragna easily dodges the attack and brings the teacher down with one clean, powerful strike. Ragna looks at his broken wooden sword and notices something. The teacher's sword has an iron core hidden inside. He realizes the teacher planned for him to fail once his plain wooden sword snapped. Just as Ragna is about to confront him, a mysterious voice calls out, asking what all the noise is about. Ragna is taken aback by the sudden arrival. The figure standing in the doorway asks if he's responsible for the commotion. Ragna can only stammer in reply. It's the school principal, Voria Grand Cascade, and this unexpected confrontation leaves the outcome uncertain. After a tense moment of silence, the school principal, Voria Grand Cascade, studies Ragna closely. Then, to everyone's surprise, he calmly announces that Ragna has passed the exam. Ragna stands there, stunned by the decision. He quickly bows in gratitude, still unsure if he really heard that right. "Are you sure it's okay?" he asks, his voice filled with disbelief. Voria Grand Cascade, the school director, explains that when it comes to bloodline, he sees little difference between the ranks. Then he turns to Ragna with a pointed question. Does he truly want to join the upper class? Ragna pauses. "It's not like I desperately want to," he replies. But as his words fade, his thoughts drift elsewhere, to the real reason he's here. "Alicia." With unwavering determination, Ragna declares, "There's someone here I have to protect." Voria, the director, studies him for a moment, then nods, accepting his reason without question. "Very well," the director says, officially confirming Ragna's admission into the upper class. But just then, the bruised and defeated teacher bursts out in protest, unwilling to let it slide so easily. The teacher steps forward, protesting loudly. He insists that Ragna is from the Forsaken Lands and reminds everyone that his fiancée was recently involved in a major incident. But before he can go any further, Director Voria's expression darkens. His voice booms across the room as he snaps, "You idiotic fool!" The teacher flinches, visibly shaken, backing away in fear under the director's harsh glare. Director Voria glares at the teacher and sharply reminds him of his duty. "Your job is to guide students and lead them down the right path before problems even begin." The teacher, now pale and trembling, can only manage a weak, stammered apology. Turning back to Ragna, the director's tone shifts. He informs him that, as a special exception, both he and Alicia are allowed to continue using their current dormitory, so long as they maintain a respectable relationship. As Ragna heads out, he thinks to himself, so the director was one of the key figures who helped the MC level up in the original story too. Eventually, he makes it back to their dorm and calls out, "I'm back." Alicia, already wearing her new school uniform, dashes to the door. With worry in her eyes, she asks urgently, "Ragna, are you okay?" Flustered by how she looks, Ragna quickly reassures her, "I'm fine, really." Noticing her outfit, he asks, "Were you getting your uniform fitted?" Then, a little awkwardly, he adds, "It looks cute on you." Trying to shift the topic, Ragna shares the good news. "Anyway, I passed the exam, though they definitely didn't make it easy." Ragna shifts the conversation to something that's been bothering him. He asks Alicia to explain more about her so-called magic disease. Then, struggling to find the right words, he admits, "I mean, I can use all the basic types of magic, but that's not really where my strength lies. My real specialty is something else entirely." Just as Ragna is about to finish explaining, he's interrupted by a loud growl from Alicia's stomach. Her face turns bright red in embarrassment. Trying to play it off, Alicia quickly shifts the topic. "Hey, anyway, it's time for dinner," she blurts out, standing up. "We need something healthy. Gotta stay sharp for the busy days at the academy." Alicia turns to Ragna and gently asks, "If anyone troublesome shows up at the academy, please let me know." But before he can respond, she adds with a soft smile, "Just remember, violence is off limits." She pauses, then continues with quiet determination, "I can handle whatever insults they throw at me, as long as you're by my side." Ragna gazes at Alicia, realizing that in many ways, she might be stronger than him. He thinks about how she has a rare ability to endure mental pain, something even the toughest soldiers often struggle with. He understands that her true strength comes from a deep sense of self-awareness and knowing exactly who she is. On their first day at the academy, whispers spread fast among the students, cruel rumors about Alicia's shattered marriage prospects. One bold student even taunts her, saying that with her fallen status, maybe he could claim her as his concubine. The student who made the rude comment suddenly collapses to the ground. Alicia quickly tells Ragna to stop, but he plays it cool, acting innocent. Inside, Ragna thinks to himself that he only sent a small amount of killing intent his way. He also remembers that, in the story, the protagonist is destined to awaken as a saint. Ragna's mind drifts to the game's protagonist, a beautiful girl he compares to a clear blue sky. He remembers her name, Mariana Ocean. He also recalls a crucial detail from the game. The sage's most used magic was non-attribute, a rare skill that demands mastering the ultimate state of nothingness. In the classroom, Ragna's eyes are drawn to a girl wearing glasses, her expression smug yet as clear as a blue sky. He instantly recognizes her. It's the heroine of the story. One of the teachers commends a student for nailing the trick question, saying it's exactly what you'd expect from the sage's pupil. The student, Mariana Ocean, responds with a modest smile. Ragna stares in disbelief, trying to process what he's seeing. His glasses slip off his face and hit the floor with a crack. As he picks them up, he's stunned. He's standing face to face with the heroine from that famous autumn game, and now his glasses are broken too. Other students whisper among themselves, pointing out that it's already the fourth time someone's asked to trade seats with her, though she's politely turned each one down. They wonder how someone that stunning could ever realistically spark a school romance with the prince. Meanwhile, Ragna quietly kicks himself for not requesting a seat closer to the front. A classmate notices and kindly offers to swap spots with him. Despite his cracked glasses, Ragna gently refuses, saying he'll manage just fine. In another scene, Alicia firmly tells Mariana Ocean that during the next seat rearrangement, she'll be moved to the front of the podium. Mariana bows deeply, apologizing over and over to the girl she accidentally bumped into. Watching this unfold, Ragna quietly murmurs Alicia's name to himself. Later, on a school holiday, Ragna finds himself wondering who exactly Alicia had been arguing with that day. Alicia firmly declares, "Men who dwell on the past are hopeless." Ragna wants to know more, but he can't bring himself to ask her directly. Suddenly, crash, a loud impact cuts through the moment. Ragna flinches in surprise, eyes darting around. Just then, Alicia is thrown backward, colliding hard with an invisible barrier. She lets out a cry as the unseen force violently stops her in her tracks. Ragna looks over at the cracked wall and sighs, mentally noting that he'll have to fix it later. Alicia, still rubbing her forehead, turns to him with a puzzled expression and asks, "What did I just hit?" "It's a barrier," Ragna replies casually. "A hidden one." Alicia blinks in confusion. "A barrier?" Ragna nods and explains, "It's a transparent holy attribute barrier, kind of like the one that protects the royal capital. Same concept, just on a smaller scale." Alicia, wide-eyed with amazement, asks, "Wait, you can use magic without even chanting?" Ragna nods, casually brushing off the moment. "Yeah, most people picture barriers as just stationary walls, but mine aren't that simple." He glances over at the spot where the invisible shield stopped her and continues, "With chantless casting, I'm not bound by those limits. I can shape or move them however I want." Alicia stares at him, completely awestruck by what she's just seen. To demonstrate, Ragna casually reshapes the barrier into a floating cup, pours coffee into it, and holds it out like it's no big deal. "These barriers can take on any form," he explains. "You can mold them however you like." Alicia watches, completely amazed. Her eyes sparkle as she gushes, "That's adorable. A floating cup." Ragna grins slightly, then shifts the conversation. "By the way, do you know what makes these different from regular barriers, or the ones used in the royal capital?" Alicia thinks for a moment, then says, "So, you can choose what passes through the barrier?" Ragna nods. "Exactly. Advanced barriers allow you to control that at will, what gets in, what gets blocked. Complete freedom." Alicia, clearly impressed, comments, "That sounds like it can do pretty much anything." Ragna lets out a small chuckle. "It might seem that way, but no, there are limits. There are still things these barriers can't do." Ragna offers an example to clarify, saying, "Like, It can't separate something that's already mixed, like sugar or milk stirred into coffee. But even as he says it, he pauses, looking puzzled by how clumsy the explanation sounds. Alicia, trying to keep things light, changes the topic. Oh, by the way, we're out of the coffee beans I brought. There's a brief moment of silence. Then, a little flustered but sincere, Ragna asks, "Hey, want to go out with me later? To buy more?" Ragna says with a smile, "I know a place that serves really good coffee." As they stroll through the area looking for the shop, he casually asks, "By the way, where'd you hear about this place?" Alicia responds, "A friend told me about it." Ragna blinks in surprise. "Oh, you have friends?" he asks, half teasing, genuinely impressed considering everything she's been through. Alicia explains that she made a friend in the library who also loves coffee, and it was that friend who told her about this shop. When they arrive, it's at a place called the Coffee Specialty Shop Ocean. Ragna's eyes widen in shock, wondering if it's really the same place he's been thinking of. The bell above the door jingles as they step inside. A girl with glasses greets them, asking if Alicia is there. Ragna freezes, completely stunned to see her. The girl, Mariana, explains she happened to be nearby and noticed Alicia standing outside, curious about what was happening. Alicia introduces Ragna to Mariana, calling her the true coffee lover. Ragna and Mariana exchange greetings. Curious, Ragna asks if they're in the same class and Mariana confirms, but Alicia quickly adds that they've never actually talked before. Mariana is taken aback to see someone of noble status here and wonders why Alicia is with him. Alicia quickly explains that Ragna is also a noble and, in fact, her fiancé. Mariana panics, bowing deeply and apologizing profusely for not realizing his noble rank, calling her mistake an unforgivable offense. Mariana fears she might be punished harshly, but Alicia quickly reassures her that nothing like that will happen. Ragna stands there speechless, watching the scene unfold, silently thinking how disappointing the main heroine has become. Mariana quickly apologizes for losing her composure, explaining she was just excited about the chance to make a new friend. Mariana explains that when she saw Alicia drinking coffee in the library, she assumed Alicia was just a commoner like herself. Ragna thinks to himself that in this world, coffee is actually seen as a commoner's drink. Mariana adds that she'd heard there would be 2 disciples of the sage this year, so she just jumped to conclusions. Ragna is taken aback, realizing this is a change from the original game and wonders if there's another disciple. He asks Alicia if that's why she was acting alone, and she confirms she had no idea about the stir he caused. Mariana also admits she didn't know anything about the incident going on. She explains that on that day, she accidentally took the wrong carriage to the academy. She only realized her mistake when they arrived somewhere far from the capital. Ragna wonders aloud why the carriage would go anywhere else on such an important day. Alicia wonders if it's just a coincidence, remembering someone saying that Mariana is a genius with magic but a bit scatterbrained. Mariana proudly admits she's great at magic, but her parents always told her she's useless at everything else. Ragna asks gently about Mariana's parents. She replies calmly that they passed away from an illness about a year ago. Ragna quickly apologizes for his insensitive question, but Mariana assures him it's okay. She even says she's grateful to her parents for the chance she has now. Mariana quickly changes the topic, offering to make coffee for both of them since she was the one who invited them over. Alicia takes a sip and immediately praises it, saying it's delicious. Ragna nods in agreement, adding that Mariana's coffee is amazing, definitely way better than his own. Sebastian shows up, takes a sip of the coffee, and jokingly asks Ragna if the bitterness is some kind of metaphor for his life. Ragna laughs and declares that from now on, he's calling Mariana his mentor. Alicia giggles and tells Mariana not to take him too seriously. Mariana finds it strange that, despite being nobles, Ragna and Alicia don't seem intimidating at all. Curious, Ragna asks why she has such a strong dislike for nobles. Mariana explains it's tied to a faint memory. She remembers a neighborhood kid telling her something a long time ago. The kid warned her that even the slightest defiance against the nobles would get you killed. She remembers that around that time, she was struck by a noble's carriage, right when the child's warning came true. The people inside the carriage showed no sign of concern as they drove off, leaving her behind. Mariana explains that after the accident made her eyesight worse, her parents heard that coffee might help, so the whole family started drinking it, and before long they all became total coffee fanatics. Alicia nods, confirming that Mariana is really skilled in magic. Mariana confirms this and gets ready to show her top skill. She reveals that her specialty is recovery magic, the ability to heal others. Alicia is stunned, exclaiming how rare healing magic truly is. Ragna nods in agreement, confirming her words. He remembers that in the game, Saint Mariana's recovery magic was incredibly powerful, capable of healing any illness and even regenerating lost limbs. Mariana quietly shares that a year ago, she couldn't save her own sick parents. That pain drove her to study harder, determined to protect and heal anyone precious to her from now on. Alicia watches with a pained expression, clearly moved by Mariana's story. She pulls Mariana into a heartfelt hug. Then, Alicia glances around and wonders aloud why the shop is so empty. Ragna admits he was the last customer to arrive, and closed the shop afterward. After they step inside, Alicia is shocked by what Ragna is doing. She grabs him firmly, scolding that he's blocking the shop and insists he needs to open it right away. Mariana quickly reassures them both, explaining she's been closing the shop on holidays to focus on her studies, so it's perfectly fine. Mariana thanks Alicia and Ragna warmly for dropping by. Alicia asks if Mariana isn't heading back to the dormitory, pointing out that, as the sage's child, she probably has special exemptions. With a soft smile, Mariana replies that she actually enjoys staying at this house. A flashback reveals that Mariana was told her expenses would be covered by the dormitory fees as long as she keeps up excellent grades. In that moment, Mariana sincerely offers Alicia her support, promising to help with any challenges she might face at the academy. Alicia feels touched by Mariana's offer, saying that just hearing those words means a lot to her, and thanks her sincerely. Then, out of the blue, Mariana asks Ragna to hand Alicia over to her, but Ragna firmly says no, leaving Alicia puzzled. As they walk away, Alicia turns to Ragna and asks if he thinks Mariana is really a good girl. Ragna recalls the first time he saw Mariana, how her eyes were just like Alicia's. He thinks about those beautiful eyes and the way she looked him straight in the face. Turning to Alicia, he says he understands now, noting that people with a strong core always have that kind of gaze. Alicia asks Ragna if he's ever seen someone like that before. He just answers, yes. He tells her her eyes carry a strong will that fights against fate, calling them both beautiful and cute. Alicia blushes at the compliment, and they share a light, playful moment. Flustered, she asks if he's pretending to be a prince, but Ragna quickly denies being the princely type.